The healthier a relationship is, the more loving and emotionally available a partner is, the more a severe avoidant will sabotage and run from the relationship. Why is this? Well, understand, avoidants are people with a certain set of fears. These fears are the fear of abandonment, the fear of engulfment, which is losing their independence in a relationship, and the fear of rejection. It all really comes down to the fear of abandonment. Even the fear of losing their independence is actually rooted in the fear of abandonment. They fear that if they lose their independence to somebody, that person is also going to abandon and reject them. All the fears tie in together. But these fears have very specific triggers. The triggers are healthy relationship behaviors, emotional availability, somebody who shows them consistent love and affection. This is the result of childhood emotional neglect. It doesn't always mean that there is emotional abuse. It doesn't mean that there is physical abuse. Often, all that's required is that the avoidant just wasn't shown love and nurturing as a child. Their feelings were routinely dismissed. They learned to bottle up emotions and run from problems because the only person that they could rely on for their emotional needs was their own self. They carry this through to adulthood, and they've learned to associate emotional intimacy with abandonment. Now, a healthy partner and an emotionally available partner is going to want emotional intimacy. This will frighten the avoidant. Because the healthy partner is emotionally available for the avoidant will feel an unspoken pressure to be emotionally available and vulnerable in return for this person. That makes the avoidant feel emotionally unsafe. So they will sabotage the relationship by doing behaviors to create emotional distance. They will look for ways to keep the partner at an emotional arm's length. This will make the avoidant feel safe. Some of these sabotaging behaviors can include cheating, gaslighting, stonewalling, disappearing for days, completely nitpicking the behavior of the other person, creating arguments out of nowhere. All these little things have one purpose in mind: create emotional distance. Cheating, for example. It is very difficult to be emotionally intimate with somebody that you are actively betraying. These fears, however, are not triggered by toxic people. Toxic partners feel emotionally safe to a severe avoidant. This is because toxic people are also emotionally unavailable. They're not available or vulnerable for the avoidant. And since the avoidant is also emotionally unavailable, there is no pressure to be available or vulnerable for the toxic partner. That makes the relationship feel safe. It makes the toxic relationship feel easy. Keep in mind, severe avoidants also have a very low self-esteem and a lack of self-worth. So when they're being treated very well, they feel like that's better than they deserve. It's inevitable that this person is going to figure out that they're too good for the avoidant. They're going to reject and abandon them. So it's safer to protect themselves now and push that person away rather than risk being abandoned and having a heart-crushing loss when this person figures out that they're too good for the avoidant. However, the toxic partner doesn't really treat the avoidant that well. The avoidant feels like that's what they deserve. And you don't really fear abandonment so much from somebody that doesn't treat you well. It wouldn't be a devastating loss. The fear of abandonment just isn't there with the toxic partner. So in the avoidant's mind, the toxic partner is an easy relationship. It's a safe relationship. It's a relationship where they don't have their fears triggered, but the fears are triggered with a healthy or emotionally available partner. That is what triggers the fears. And that's why an avoidant can suddenly shut down, they can deactivate, do sabotaging behaviors, and discard a healthy partner. They can even have difficulty committing to a healthy partner. That's because commitment implies emotional availability, which is scary, especially for an emotionally available partner. Commitment is not so scary for a toxic partner because a toxic partner is not emotionally vulnerable. So they can put a commitment label on it with a toxic partner because they know they don't have to actually open up to this person. That relationship just feels safe. So understand, If the avoidant shut down, sabotaged, and ran away from a relationship where you actually treated them very, very well, they did so because you treated them well. It is precisely the fact that you treated them well and showed them love and commitment that scared them. It's nothing you did wrong, it's everything you did right. They fear healthy relationships. Those are the triggers. Healthy relationships are exactly what scares them. Healthy partners scare them to their core. Toxic partners do not. If you look at your avoidant partner or your avoidant ex, it's not very surprising to look back at their history and see that all of their long-term relationships were with toxic people such as narcissists. And all of their short-term relationships were with healthier partners that actually were emotionally available and showed them love. And sometimes avoidants will even admit that they have a tendency to shut down and push people away, but they don't know why. Well, the reason they don't know why is because they avoid self-reflection. That's how they've learned to cope with emotional and relationship stress, is to not cope with it, to not deal with it, to dodge it, to run from it, bury the emotions. So they don't really know why they do what they do because they don't reflect on their own feelings. But most do have at least some surface level awareness that they run from healthy partners and push them away, and seem to feel safer with toxic partners. So if you look at your partner or your ex's relationship history and you see that all of their long-term relationships were with toxic partners, well, it explains a lot. You're dealing with a person that is emotionally unavailable and fears somebody who is emotionally available. And they fear abandonment above all else, and you didn't cause that, so don't blame yourself. If you're blaming yourself for their behavior, you're taking personal responsibility for their childhood attachment wounds. You didn't cause that. Taking personal responsibility for that only leads you into anxiety and insecurity. Remember that.